So that delight can come in many ways, right? I mean, there are other ways, whether the interaction is satisfying, or whether it's just simply cute, right? Sometimes, but beyond all of this added so-called delight, I think the appropriateness is one of the most important factor.
Hi Donn, today we have some questions on making products that people love. So yeah, do you have a definition for what makes something lovable to people? Like a product or anything, any designs that you put out. Do you have any criteria or yeah, maybe 3 things that make it lovable?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting question that maybe it's what many innovators, marketers, designers are wondering about, right? When you want to do product, how do you measure its value? How do you measure that this is good enough? What decisions to make, like should you style it a bit more or less? Is it just the designer's preference, or is it just simply what the brand dictates it needs to be, or what the marketing person is telling you? Now, I think if I were to try to give this a very short answer, and I'm not sure if it's exhaustive, this is off the cuff, right? I think generally for me, a product must be appropriate, right? That's one. And the second element is that a product, beyond just being appropriate, perhaps it's a little bit more delightful, right? And what I mean by that, that comes in different ways, right? Sometimes it is delightful because it's exceedingly nice to use in a certain way, or it's more sensitive than typical with regards to what your feelings are when you use it as compared to another product, and therefore you feel like somewhat understood by the product, or at least you feel that the creator of the product understood you and your feelings while you're using these things. So that delight can come in many ways, right? I mean, there are other ways, whether the interaction is satisfying, or whether it's just simply cute, right? Sometimes, but beyond all of this added so-called delight, I think the appropriateness is one of the most important factor. Yeah. So in short, that's what I would say forms a bit of that fundamental around what qualifies as things that people love. That is beyond what is beyond the designer's own preferences. It's bigger than the marketer's desire to sell it, because sometimes right, something sells better if it's not so appropriate, right? Yeah. So I don't mean like iffy stuff. I don't mean like inappropriate. That's not what I mean. I mean it's like, you see, you take say for example a shaver, right? A shaver, and when you're in the store, you see on a shelf amongst all the other shavers, you want to buy the one that feels like, wow, it's super powerful, a lot of features. So it looks like, all dressed up and maybe even hyper ergonomic in terms of its look. That's on the shelf, and that might be the thing that causes you to say, I buy this because it feels like it has a lot of features. You bring this and put it at home inside your shower becomes like a, in an environment where maybe you are supposed to be a bit more relaxed, right? Then you have this sports car raiser that is kind of shouting out at you in that space. Then it's actually inappropriate for that situation. And actually that's why we have this tyranny of objects in our homes. Every object is trying to sell you, and therefore they're all shouting. But once you bring them all home together, they're all shouting to you about like, I'm so fast, I'm so powerful, right? And I sometimes as a designer suspect that is why we go for staycations, right? And that's why a hotel stay feels different, right? Because things are a bit curated. The objects are not in the way. The objects are at least not trying to, all call out to you. And when you come to your own home, it's like everything is shouting at you, right? So I think, therefore, appropriateness for a human user in actual use case may be very different for appropriateness, say, for selling. And this is the eternal kind of conflict, right? And as a designer, it's always this question that you are grappling with. Yeah.